Felicitous greetings, fellow fanatics. Salutations, one and all. I'm Adam Fanatic, and today we're taking a look at Solar Titans Deluxe Edition, side-up game's enhanced version of their deck and tableau building space opera combat title. Without any further ado, let's dive in. In Solar Titans, 2 to 4 players will be pitched in battle, each commanding and rapidly upgrading a stellar battleship in an attempt to take out the enemy command deck. We'll be looking at the 1v1 mode primarily. I'll cover multiplayer and solo options in a bit, but most rules here are applicable to all modes. To set up, begin by giving each player a reference card, 5 repair cards, 8 starter ship cards, and 10 starter crew cards. Take your repair cards and place them so that 1 is on the bottom and 5 is on top in sequential order. Take your crew cards and shuffle them up to form your starter deck. Each player should draw 5 cards. Then, shuffle up the ship layout cards and deal out 2 to each player. Pick 1 to keep and discard the other. Arrange your starting ship cards to match your chosen layout. This should include your command deck, crew quarters, targeting bay, an alpha laser, and 4 light plates regardless of which layout you chose. Now you'll need to set up the market. Keep the mercenary and hauling crews stacked in their own piles. Shuffle up the 80 card market deck and deal out 6 cards to be available for purchase. Players should now look at the Roman numerals on their chosen layout card. Player with the lowest number will go first. The first player must choose and discard 1 card from their hand. And with that, you're ready to begin. Turn structure in Solar Titans is divided into 2 distinct phases, the action phase and the end phase. At the start of your action phase, check to see if your crew quarters card is face down, representing that it's damaged. If it is, you'll be forced to choose and discard 2 cards from your hand. After that, there are 3 actions you can take in any order and as often as you're able to: play cards, buy cards, and fire weapons. There are 2 main types of cards you can play: crew and ship components. Most crew will give you credits to spend on buying cards, though some can have other effects, such as playing purchase cards immediately into your deck or letting you rearrange your ship. More on that in a moment. In your starting deck, you'll also have 2 arming crews. These can be used to either immediately fire a weapon or can be set aside for a future turn. Again, more on those in a moment. The other type of card you'll play are ship components. When you play one of these from your hand, you'll immediately add it to your ship. When playing a component, there are 3 rules you must follow. It must be orthogonally adjacent to another piece. Your ship cannot exceed a length or width of 5 cards, and you cannot have more than 15 total components. You're not building the Executor here. You may also use hauling crews to modify your ship. When you do this, choose a part to move and simply move it to another spot, though you still have to respect the 5x5 limit, of course. A few parts have this symbol, which means they may move themselves without needing a hauling crew. You may freely move them during your own action phase. Conversely, some cards, such as the command deck, have this symbol, which means they may never be moved. If you have any damaged parts, you may simply choose to scrap them at will on your turn. Simply remove them for the rest of the game. You may scrap, move, and play cards together in any order during your action phase, but before you end your turn, you must make sure that all your ship parts are connected to one another. You cannot have any gaps between different parts of your ship. To purchase a card, simply pay the cost in credits. Then, put the new card into your discard pile. If you buy a card from the market row, immediately draw a new card to replace it so that there's always 6 available to buy. You can purchase as many cards as you can afford during your turn, including those that come out to replace a card you just purchased. To fire weapons, you'll need to have an arming crew or a mercenary crew. Most of the time, weapons will only require 1 crew to fire. However, if your targeting bay is damaged, you'll need an extra crew member for each volley. You may fire any number of weapons in a single turn if you have enough crew to fire them, but each individual weapon may only be fired once per turn. There are many different types of weapons in the game, and I can't cover all the specifics, but let's look at some general examples so that you'll understand how to read and resolve them. The most common weapons you'll have, including your starting alpha laser, are frontal attacks, represented by a red arrow. When you fire one of these, you'll choose a single column of the enemy ship to attack. When you do such, you'll strike the frontmost card of that column. If your attack value exceeds the card's defense value, you'll flip the card over to show that it's been damaged. It's important to note that most attacks expend their energy on a single card. Even if you have 3 attack and the targeted card only has 1 defense, it will not damage any other cards. The exception to this being weapons with this purple arrow symbol, which represents piercing attacks. These weapons will continue to deal damage to multiple parts in the same column until they run out of power, or until they run out of ship. White attacks are denoted by orange double arrows, and work similar to frontal attacks. With these, you'll choose 2 adjacent columns to attack. Each part hit takes the full damage of the weapon, allowing you to strike multiple parts at once. Finally, flanking attacks are represented by yellow arrows, and these allow you to choose a row to attack instead of a column. You can choose to fire on either the left or right side of the row, which can allow you to get in some shots on otherwise hard to reach areas. Some weapons will have this symbol, which means you can pay that cost to switch its firing mode. Sometimes this will change how the weapons act, and other times it will boost its firepower. These are always optional. You don't need to do them even if you can afford them, and if you decide to use them, they only last for one turn. Whichever weapons you fire, keep in mind that you must be able to overcome a component's defense rating in a single turn. You can combine the firepower of multiple weapons to take out a single part if you're able to, but damage to an individual part is not tracked between turns, and any parts that are not flipped over by the end of your turn are assumed to be undamaged. In addition to weapons, you'll also find other ship components. Armor pieces exist solely to soak up damage, but come in a variety of flavors. And then there's a handful of other components which can do other things, such as the deck crane, which boosts your economy as long as it's active, the solar battery, which can give a temporary boost to laser weapons, or the backup hub, which can sacrifice itself to repair a damaged part. Once you're done with your actions, you'll proceed to the end phase. First, discard all cards from your hand, as well as any crew cards you used, with the exception of army and mercenary crews that didn't fire weapons. These will remain in play until they're activated. After that, you have the option of using any number of repair cards. To use them, simply flip them over and then flip an equal number of damaged ship components back to their active sides. Bear in mind that any cards with this symbol can never be repaired, and you only have 5 repair cards per game with no way to gain more. Once they're used up, they're gone for good. Finally, draw 5 new cards. Even if your crew quarters is damaged, you'll still draw up to your full hand size and won't discard until the start of your next turn. After that, play proceeds to the next player, and the game will continue like this until the command deck has been destroyed and the remaining captain is the winner. Those are the rules for playing a basic 1v1, but there's a number of alternate modes in the game. For a 3 or 4 player free-for-all, most of the rules are the same. However, there are 2 important things to note. Firstly, you may target any enemy ship, and secondly, the game ends when any command deck is destroyed. Whoever gets the killing blow is the winner. If playing with 4 players, you may also play in teams seated across from your opponents. In this mode, you may only attack the foe directly across from you. However, when purchasing a card, you may choose to put it in your teammate's discard pile instead of your own. When any command bridge is destroyed, the game ends immediately and the opposing team wins. Alternatively, 3 or 4 players may play with Titan ships, either as a 2v2 or a 2v1. For the 2v2 mode, each team will share a single large ship. You'll start set up as normal, but after that, add 4 additional light plates and an extra alpha laser to your ship at the start of the game. Additionally, each player will only have 3 repair cards. Titans can be larger, growing up to 6x6 with no limit on the number of cards they can support, so long as they fit within that grid. You and your teammates share this powerful vessel, including all its components. However, you cannot share each other's crew cards. Each is still under your own command. Like a normal game, simply destroy the opposing command bridge to win. If playing 2v1, the lone player will command a Titan ship and use all 5 of their repair cards, while the team players will each have a standard ship with 3 repair cards. The Titan player always goes first and draws 6 cards instead of 5, but still has to discard one of them on their first turn. Team players may also place purchase cards into their teammate's discard pile. As with other modes, only 1 command bridge needs to be destroyed to end the game, with the opposing team claiming victory. Finally, you also have the Automata mode, which can be played either solo or as a 2-player cooperative game. For the human players, you'll set up as normal. For the Automata, begin by choosing which opponent you'll play against. The Sovereign is meant to be your first opponent, while the Centurion, Monolith, or Replicant will each have powerful bonuses for a more challenging battle. Take 2 sets of starting ship cards and set them up as shown on the diagram for your chosen opponent. For a greater challenge, you may also draw up to 2 AI cards to enhance any of the Automata opponents, though you'll probably want to skip this for your first game. To start each round, draw 1 card per player and place it near the Automata. If any crew cards are drawn, immediately scrap them and draw to replace them, repeating until there's 1 component card per player. These show you what the Automata will do on its turn. The players will always go first, and you do not discard a card on your first turn. Your own turns will play just as a normal game. If playing co-op, both players will take their turns before the Automata gets its own. Once the Automata acts, look to the card drawn for it. It'll replace a damaged card, following the priority listed on its diagram if necessary. If there are no damaged components, it will attempt to replace a part with less defense following the same priority rules. If it can't do either of those, it will simply scrap the card, letting you breathe a sigh of relief as the Automata does nothing else that turn. If the Automata drew a weapon card, it will begin its turn by firing all active weapons against a single player. In a co-op game, you'll choose which player it attacks the first time, then all future attack turns will alternate between players. When this happens, it will fire weapons following 3 priorities. First, it will attempt to target one of your critical systems. If it can't do this, it will attempt to destroy your weapons. If it's also unable to do that, it will simply destroy as many of your lowest defense cards as it possibly can. You may decide which of your cards are hit so long as you follow these rules for priority. After that, draw a new card or 2 for the Automata to see how it will act next turn. When playing against an Automata, victory is achieved by destroying the command bridge as normal. If both players have their command bridges destroyed, they lose the game. Alternatively, if the market deck is depleted, then that means that the planet you're defending has had its resources completely depleted, and as a result, that also counts as a loss. I mentioned this is the Deluxe Edition. You may be wondering what changes were made. There have been a couple component upgrades which I'll get to in a moment, but gameplay-wise, 16 new cards have been added to the game. 12 cards have been removed from the game, but only cards that have multiple copies. So every card from First Edition still has at least 1 copy in Deluxe Edition. This means that games will now have a greater variety of cards while making Automata mode marginally easier than before. Component-wise, the game is quite solid. Cards are of decent thickness and have a smooth finish. The entire game has a retro-futurism style to it, the art feeling like something out of the 50s or 60s. One of my complaints about the original version was that the Automata opponents were simply printed on paper, but in this version, they have been upgraded to cardstock. And since the hard Automata all have the same back, you can now shuffle them up to randomize your opponent if you wish. The other thing that's been upgraded is the insert. The original simply had 3 pockets in a cardboard insert, and it had the issue of these holes meant to grab the cards not going all the way down to the bottom, which meant you couldn't really get the cards out without tipping the box anyways. The new version opens up like a cabinet to reveal 4 pockets, and each of those pockets has a ribbon to make it easier to pull the cards out. All in all, Solar Titans Deluxe Edition is just what it purports to be, an enhanced version of the game with some refinements and improvements while still being mostly the same game. The added variety from the new cards is a nice addition, and the component improvements to the Automata and the insert are very much a welcome change. If you didn't like First Edition, this isn't going to change your mind. On its own merits, it's a fast-paced, medium-light deck builder with a very unique execution, which makes it great for both newcomers to deck builders and longtime fans of the genre. In conclusion, I find Solar Titans Deluxe Edition to be worthy of a respectable 8.3 out of 10. Solar Titans is available for purchase directly from the developer. If you're interested in purchasing or learning more, links are included in the description. But what about you? What do you think of Solar Titans? Which deck builders do you feel break the mold? If you have any questions, remarks, or opposing points of view, leave them in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you really enjoy my work, please consider funding my channel on Patreon. Until next time, farewell, fellow fanatics. Thank you again for watching. I have plenty more to share with you if you're interested. You can click up here above my head to subscribe to my channel. You can click over here on my monitor to see the most recent video that I've worked on. Or if you prefer, you can click up here to open this mysterious vault and see what video that the YouTube algorithm has picked just for you.